water. And there's countries now where they're taking the people's last pennies just to get a bucket of water, and the water isn't even properly cleansed, but it's usable. And in some cases people don't have the money, and they dip it out of rivers that are all polluted, and they're dying at a very high rate because of this, drinking this water and using this water, not really realizing in their own ignorance that there's just that water has to be boiled to get rid of all that stuff and so forth. So there's a lot of problems in water, and that's all you're going to hear about in the future, and it's going to be the big costly investment that we have to deal with. And that's because we've let it get out of hand. It's been getting out of hand. And then of course all these governments that are gaining control of it are making money on it. And they say, well, they have to pay to put the pipes in, so they want to be paid. And you got to pay me, and you don't get any water. And up till now, water's always been free, you know. But now all of a sudden it's going to become a scarcity, more costly than oil. Anyway, that's one of the things, just one of the things that we will all be dealing with, the young generation. The younger children today are born for this purpose. All children that have been born in the last 20, 25 years, especially, are here for this turnaround. Because we were kind of talking a little about 2, 10, 11, and 12, and 13. And we talked also mentioned in there about the Mayan calendar. That's another civilization that is very interesting. The Mayans were all angels in the body here on earth. The entire civilization was angels. When the corruption set in, and the killings by the Spanish or whoever was, conquistadors or whoever was taking over that period, the universe just allowed them to come all back home and became extinct. And why? Is there no calendar past 212? Because they were taken off the earth. Nobody read the calendar anymore. Keep up with it. So everybody thinks that's the end of everything. That's just the end of their civilization way back in time. So they're associating that end to be the end of the world. You know, there's been so many Armageddons and people in the past because of another guy named John, not me the John, but he's supposed to be a John that wrote the book of Revelations, and everything is devastation and death and just horrifying stuff, you know what I mean? And the universe said, when I asked him about that John, they said, this wasn't you, Ron, you were the Apostle John, this was another John, and he was imprisoned for whatever reason, and he was angry with everyone, so he wrote this in anger, all written in anger, to make everybody afraid and scared and so forth. A lot of the religions believe in that Revelations like you can't imagine. And they just believe in Armageddon and devastation and the end of the world and all that stuff because you don't believe our way, you must follow, this is what's going to happen. It's all been written by man. It is not the universe. The universe is in control. They're telling us they've always been in control, and they want us to realize that the universe is in charge, and they're in charge of us and our lives. And we got to start paying attention, doing what we're here for, what we have the privilege to be here for, and take advantage of that privilege, because when you return home to the universe and you find you haven't did anything, you got to start all over again, you're going to be pretty upset. You're going to be pretty sad after being put down into either the gray area or into darkness, and have to sit there. What am I here for? What's going on? People just don't understand. And they need to understand before they go what it's all about. It's time that we can understand this. There's been lots of information given about the astral plane, which is the next plane. But nothing has been brought through about the planes above the astral plane, higher and higher levels, and how we learn and progress through that. And they say the astral plane is so overcrowded with the souls now, they don't want any more to come to the astral plane. And they're coming there every day, more and more and more and more. Because of the ignorance here on earth, they just don't know. And they haven't made any progress in their lives on earth. And you go to these elderly homes and you just see people walking around waiting to die. They just don't know nothing about life. They know nothing what they're here for, what their purpose is, why they were here, or what it's all about. And they're just waiting and they line them up on the other side. Or they just sit on the other side. They have so many people sitting doing nothing, not making any progress at all. They just have no room for them anymore. And they want you to graduate on this earth, to learn your lessons and graduate and then become a teacher before you come over. Skip the astral plane. Don't go through that
and
astral
you can
plane.
do that by...
just helping others. The more you help another person, the more you're going to grow yourself. Forget about your lessons. Your lessons will take care of themselves as they come along. Don't make a big deal about what lessons you have to learn. Just know that it's a learning process, everything that happens. Everything comes in front of you is for learning. Help me to learn this, now I move on, and keep on moving on. Don't look back. Don't live in the past. Live in the now, and you automatically will create the future. That's how simple it is.
I want to segue into something here that is a big problem as well on Earth, and a lot of people, I believe, do it because of a lack of love or feeling that they are unloved and or have suffered in some way in their life and trying to escape or numb that pain in some way, and that's drugs. Drugs and alcohol are a big part of life on Earth, and also a big problem for people who do them, and especially with hard drugs and the money to be made in that industry. Could you talk about that?
Why, sure. Actually, a lot of that comes from past lives. They were into drugs in their past life, and they've come back in this life, and they have to overcome that. That's part of the parcel of this happening. Mainly it's because they've not been doing their lessons. They've not been listening to their inner voice. They've not been listening to their guide. They've not been following their inner voice and impressions to do what they're supposed to do on the right track. They're always being given this constantly. You keep avoiding it, and therefore you use it as a crutch or an excuse to say, oh, well, I can't handle any of this, so you try to create another world. You put yourself in another phase, another frame of mind, if you will, by taking these drugs or alcohol. It's a very hard thing to kick. And the only one that can kick it is now one of these centers where you could go and detox and all that kind of stuff. They can help you, but you still got to do the kicking. You're the kicker. You're in charge of you. Take charge of yourself and say no. The whole key is no. And there are many lessons in people's life to say no. I've had many of them no. Is helping others the way I do help others, but helping others reaching into my pocketbook. And being there for them, and never seeing them again, never getting it back, and be taken for a ride. And the universe says to me, Ron, that's your lesson, you got to learn to say no. So I'm learning that now. I'm 70 years old, but I'm still learning to say no. I cannot do this for you. I'm trying to take care of myself, I'm trying hard to sell my books because it's the only thing that I have going for me is these books that now are out after 20 years of holding them back. We've had them out for 1 year now, but they're still going so slow. And I feel that it's going to take the comet ship landing. When the comet ship lands, then everybody will come and get the messages in the books because they'll have that forever. I had one gentleman who read the books that doesn't even have a computer. And I thought he was getting things off of my website and going in and reading and understanding. But no, someone gave him a book. I think it was book 1 or book 2, one or the other. He had one book, and out of that he just said, wow. And then he wrote to the address inside the book and said that I've read book 1 and it's just changed my life so much, I can't believe it. I need book 2. Can you send me book 2? And so there was no email address or anything, so I wrote the letter back to him and sent him the book. And it's been back and forth. He's called me a couple of times, and I've talked to him on the phone. And now I have from him, from one of his letters, a testimony that he's read both books, that he says, I put my Bible away, and these 2 books are my Bible for the rest of my life. I will see that my children get them, and my grandchildren will get them after that, and all generations to come, this is the way we need to live. That's the kind of changes. I had another lady that did have my email address, or somehow she got a hold of me through my website or whatever, in Louisiana. She lived in a very deprived area where there was nothing but drug dealers talking about the drugs we just started on. Drug dealers all around her. And she's trying for years, for over 3 years, she says, to move out of her trailer and get out of that area, get away from these druggies. She gets shot through her trailer. Through the trailer wall, she gets shot by one of these drug deals going on outside her place. And she gets in touch with me. She says, I don't want to live anymore. I got to heal up from this gunshot wound. I don't want to die. And she was just giving up on her life. So immediately I gave her a couple of pages to read from my newsletter, and I said, you keep reading this until you can afford to buy the books. And you watch how your life will change. And you ask for the highest and the best, and you start believing in yourself and living in love and knowing God is there all the time, and your guide's on your right side. You're never alone. You can never be alone. Not 24/7, anytime. You are never alone. In the middle of the night, you have something that you need, just ask for it. Say thank you, like you've really received it, and you watch how you receive it. Go back to sleep and you wake up and it'll be gone, whatever it is, a pain in the back or whatever that comes up. These things do come up in sleep. I know that. And people get so panicky. They think, oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack or whatever. And if you just constantly be aware that the universe is always there for your asking. They cannot infringe their force, their free will upon you. You got to ask, and that's how you get what you receive, by asking. See?
Well, that brings up a question. When you said the woman wanted to end her life, let's talk about suicide.
Well, she didn't commit suicide. We'll finish her story and just let you know. I kept in touch with her, and she says, Ron, and she called me Brother Ron. I says, I'm not a brother, I'm just Ron. She says, oh, I love your ministry. I said, I'm not a minister and I don't have a ministry. This is not a religion. I'm just a soul here on this earth trying to help people. I'm a messenger that brings the message and trying to help people. She says, well, you've helped me so much, I can't begin. My whole life has changed. Do you know that I've got a place that I can move to in 3 weeks from now? I can't wait to get moved out of here. And it's a place in a nice neighborhood. And it's very clean. And she was going on and on and on. Can't thank me enough. I called her the day after her move. I said, are you settled in yet? I doubt it, right? You only moved in? She said, oh, thank you so much. You wouldn't believe this place. She's talking this place all over how wonderful, how happy she was. Her whole life changed. I've had several more on the suicide that have sent me emails and said that I have not lost my will to live. I had one that said, I'm sad. I've been sad all my life, and I can't get out of this sadness. I don't care to live anymore. That kind of stuff. And I've turned them right around, and if I can get a phone number, if they can, from an email, if I email them and they ask them to give me their phone number, I can call them because I can talk to them like I'm talking on a one-to-one basis and really help them. And before they hang up, they're laughing. And I said, you just gave me the greatest gift you could ever give anyone, is that laughter. From this day forward, you'll never be sad again. I said, that's it. It changed their life. That's all it is, change. They need someone just to help them to change. And that's what people need to be doing. They have to be there, lending their shoulder for someone to cry on. Not giving up their money, but being there for another person.
But what about when people go back and forth, because it seems like it's a constant battle of light and dark and negative and positive, and being sad and happy, and it seems like the dark is winning on Earth.
Always because you give into it. Only because you give into it. The person that gets in that depressive state and doesn't take charge of themselves and say, out of here, I don't want this depression, what do I like to do? I like to play baseball. Then get out there and play baseball, get your mind off it. Do something to get your mind off of this depression. You can pull yourself out of depression anytime. You've done it. We've all done it. We've been there, done that. Now, let's change it. Let's change it for good. Never have it again. And then it comes in, hey, I got to do something. Go to see a funny movie. There's that funny movie down the street. And go see that. Watch a movie on television that's funny, some comedy, and make you laugh. The greatest healing there is laughter. Just laugh. It makes you heal right up. Everything. Get rid of it. Don't take it on. It's so strong in some people because they do not want to face their lessons. Inwardly, they know. Within them, they know. And they refuse to get on with their lessons, and they pull back and use everything kind of a crutch you can think of and say, that's one. All they're going to do is take those lessons with them. And they're going to say, now I blew my chances to get rid of them fast on Earth, and it's going to take me another 1,000 years to get rid of them now here.
What about when people...
But you can't kill themselves anymore because there's no more body.
what about when people do kill themselves?
All right, now that's another thing. If they do, there's only 2 ways you leave the Earth again. And we have to bring this up many times. Either your lessons are not being taken care of, you're not getting on with them, you're avoiding them or don't want to deal with them or do them, you've changed your mind after you agreed to come here or whatever, and you kill yourself, you go back in the universe, you have to continue your lessons there. You're not making progress, or you're done. A suicide can always also be a means to bring you back to the universe that fast because you're done with your lessons, there's no reason to hang around anymore. And you'll have a feeling that, oh, I'm fed up with all this, I can't take this world anymore, it's just gone so bad, but I don't want to be around this anymore. I don't need any of this anymore. You'll have those feelings, and you'll succeed. If not, you will not succeed. You can cut your wrist many times until catch you and get you in the hospital, and you got to keep going, keep going. It all has a purpose. The universe is in charge at all times, but yet you are really in charge of you. So it's your decisions that make everything happen. Every person's. Every person's own decision to make things happen. If they want that to happen, they can make it happen. Yes, they can. But then they come face to face. Now you don't have the body anymore. And if you're one that has no knowledge of going beyond, and you pull back to earth, you just end up wandering the earth, trying to find whatever your drugs or whatever you're into or do to someone else. All the drug people that are addicted, all these alcoholics are addicted to alcohol, have nothing but those souls around them. Negative souls that are living on the earth plane, that have not left the earth plane and still trying to get that fix, get that drink, get whatever their habit is.
Are some
Even smokers.
Are some of those things okay though, or better, or
what is good about it, unless it's done in moderation? Period. All things are put in moderation.
But there's a difference between heroin and moderation and having a drink.
It's not moderation. That heroin is used wonderful in the time of war and so forth, and times that soldiers are injured and so forth. They're given that, and it helps them through that. But the addiction to it is certainly not moderation. It's in a medical way. The same way with this marijuana business, they say that marijuana should be legalized. Well, because all these people have all these pains that they don't want to deal with. Well, it's like not facing your lessons when you're looking at all the pain. However, there can be a lot of physical pain too, but then you can be, if you change your way of living and asking for your healing, simply using your own hands. Don't have to have my healing hands. You have healing hands, everyone has them. Take those healing hands and place them on your solar plexus and ask for the healing energy of the cause of all these things that are happening to me, all this that is holding me back and making me drink so much and making me take these drugs. Have the cause removed and healed, because it may go way back to a past lifetime or even 2 lifetimes ago, and you're still trying to overcome it. And that's the only way. If you keep going with that in a positive way, asking and asking and asking and asking, and always say thank you, thank you, thank you, as if you already received it. And it all will come in time. If you didn't start it instantly, and it's not going to go away instantly. It has to go away when you're truly ready to release it and let it go. And the whole thing is back to no. Say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. No. I'm in charge of myself now. I'm not letting anything take charge of me, no matter what it is.
Can I still have
Sure.
everything I want materially and make great spiritual progress at the same time?
Yes, of course. If you're doing the spiritual progress, you can keep all that you have material, and you'll get much more. It just automatically will come. It'll be there for you. You don't know how, but it'll be there. It'll just happen. There's many people say, I didn't know where this money came from, and I had to pay this bill this week, and the universe just took care of me, and all of a sudden this money came in. I don't know where it came from, and now I pay this bill. And that's the way it works. You got to be balancing both parts of your life. Spiritual and material are to be worked together. The material, they even say that the planet Mars in the books there is there to help us to make money. The strength and the energy that's given by Mars to us here on Earth is to help us to make money. And we must make money because they know this is what we need on this Earth. We've created this, so this is what they're trying to give to us. But we have to use it as an energy force within ourselves, not an energy force outside that is going to run your life. None of the planets can run our life. They can only give energies to Earth to help you do what you have to do or are supposed to do in this life. Every planet has its purpose, and it's sending its energy for us to do everything that we need, no matter what it is. And we all have to learn to be who we want to be and live from within our own heart and soul and develop only that which is really true to you. It's got to feel good with you. You should not be doing something that you do not like. You should be doing only what you like. And it's there for you. And everyone is individual, and everyone is different. Everyone's got a different path. Many of them are on the wrong path. And they're just miserable. You've got to come back to center. And the only way you can do that, in the Eastern philosophy, they tell you meditation, meditation, meditation. Forget about all this ritual. Meditation is, yes, quiet your mind. That's what meditation is. Quiet your mind and think your own thoughts through. Your listener is your guide. Your guide knows everything you need, everything you want, day by day. The guide cannot do anything for you but protect you. The guide can only give you advice and assurance that you're on the right path. And he can call, as your connection to the universe, he can call on someone that can come and help you with that you truly want. Because they always know your true intention. Not a made-up, make-believe intention, but true intention. They know the truth within your heart and soul, and they can see it. It's soul against soul.
Something I think that we could segue into now that has helped me, and I have conversations every day with the universe, and they reply a physical way that can be perceived by the senses here on earth. And I've heard it so many times. It's been the most convincing thing out of everything I've experienced in doing this work that has led me to a point where I could never go back and deny what I've experienced. And what that experience is what we call raps, and they touch on it in the book. But I want to be clear to those people watching this of what that is. And raps are a noise made by a soul, just as individual, just as real as you and me. It could be your guide, it could be a working soul. It's a working, progressing soul if they've earned the right to be able to make that noise. And what it is it's a popping or cracking sound in something that's a hard surface or on a hard surface, like a window seal. In the stereo it happens all over the place here, on the exercise bike, on the computer. And once you start to hear it, it becomes very distinct. I've heard people say, "Oh, it's rats," or no, it's not that. That's just
house settling.
You know, that's absurd. Once you've heard it the thousands and thousands of times that I've heard it, and
in every place you go, in your car.
I hear it in very significant times in my thought process. Meaning, I'll have a thought or I'll ask a question, and they'll answer back by rapping. And when they rap, that lets me know that I'm answering my own questions with their help.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're giving confirmation.
If there's anything else you would want.
The high universal souls, the souls that are working and progressing, are souls that have this strong ability to just give us a rap of confirmation. Because they're around us all the time. Everything that we're speaking up here now, they hear everything. You know what's all going on. We've had many raps here as we've been doing this filming. And they will bring the rap as a confirmation. Yes, you're reading on the truth there. That's the truth. You're telling the truth. It's a confirmation. You have to stop and realize that the rap is just a soul, excuse me, that is there confirming with you what you're thinking. You may be thinking of deciding to do something, making a decision, and you're not sure of making the right decision. And when you think of the right decision, you'll get a rap. And all they do is they touch their energy on the object, wherever that is, that object. And usually if it's a soul connected to you in your life, like a teacher or a friend or even a relative or someone that has been attracted to you that's helping you, they will always come in the same place. The same soul will rap in the same place. That's like their spot. I can tell you practically every spot that I get in my home here of who's rapping. Like for instance, the skylight on the roof. Every time I get a rap there, I know that's Job. That's the master director. And not only is it Job, but before that it used to be Gandhi and many other teachers in between. So they always use the same place. And my brother in my past life, James the Greater, he raps on the wall to the right, and always on the high side of the wall, up higher. The higher the rap, the higher the soul.
And I had a female who I'm very fond of come and visit Ron, and she became aware of the raps, and she was traveling and doing some work, and she began to hear a lot of raps over and over and over again. She said it was too much. She almost called me, which I wish she had of.
Yeah.
But when she got home and found out that something had occurred with her family, I'm not going to say what, but something was going on.
You're trying to get a message to her.
It was confirmation that they were there for her. Mm-hmm. And it's happened to me where they've rapped over and over several times.
Pay attention.
That's
what the repeated rap is.
Get me to do something or to pay attention and listen,
yes.
Within myself, what is this pertaining to? What it is it around? So that help is always there. And that's something that is different from a lot of the other things we're talking about, because it doesn't take the same amount of faith for me anyway, because I hear it with my own ears.
It's true. And a lot of people hear these things, hear these raps and hear these noises, and they just think it's the house settling or something. They don't realize that it's a visiting soul, that it's visiting them right then and there and now, and there for a reason and a purpose, to help them. It's the only way they can communicate. They do not have a voice box. We do not hear it as outer voices calling us. If you hear that, that's lower earthbound souls. If you hear voices in your head of others, people telling you what to do, and I should go do this, and I should have another drink, or get a fix, or whatever, that's low earthbound souls.
Like schizophrenia, that's a lot of earthbound.
All earthbound souls. Schizophrenia is how many, we can't even count them sometimes. Some of them even are acting crazy and so forth, because they're trying to get into his body. These souls that are earthbound, that don't have a body anymore, they don't understand and whatever, and they're trying to use somebody's body. That's what they're trying to do. They don't have a body anymore, and they haven't even realized that. And you'll see in the Ghost Whisperer sometimes too, where they're saying that you're passed on, that you're dead, you've lost your body. And they have to tell us all that because they don't know. And they're hanging around somebody and they're causing trouble. And sometimes they do some terrible things too. And all these ghost hunters, they experience them. They have these experiences to prove they're there. But we're not supposed to be giving them recognition. They had their chance. They've blown it. Start dealing with the people on earth that are in the body and let those people go. Send them away. Keep them moving on, moving on. And if you change in your habit, they'll leave because they say, you're no fun anymore. I can't have any fun. He's not taking his drugs anymore. I'm not going to him anymore. And they go find someone else to hang on to. And they've been wandering the earth for thousands and millions of years, these souls. And it's so hard to get them off the earth. The teachers come and they try to get them. They won't listen. They didn't listen when they were in the body. They don't listen now. So how are they going to learn to listen? So this is why when these things happen and they're clinging around people, that's when they gather these souls up that are clinging around the outside and try to get a hold of as many as they can. The teachers are working very hard all the time on this, But it's strictly ignorance. That's all. I hate using the word ignorant, but at the same time, that's all it is. They just don't know any better. They haven't learned. They haven't searched. They haven't found. They haven't read a book about anything, There's lots of books that can lead you to this. I've been reading books all my life, and it's led me from some materials that have been given saying that the astral plane has buildings on it and so forth. Now when I write from the higher universe, they say, Ron, no, there's no buildings here. We have no need for buildings. We do have for those people that do pass over and can't comprehend what's happening and trying to adjust, they have imaginary buildings that they're imagining they're still at their desk working on their computer. And they sit there and keep on going. My grandpa, when I found out my mother was trying to help him to get to work, he just sat there playing cards. That's all he used to do. So he's just playing cards, dealing the cards by himself. Solitaire. And so forth. So there's lots of this until they can adjust it and say, hey, it's got to get to work.
Ron, what about the so many fairy tales or fantasies that people have about Pegasus horses or elves or
They're not fantasies, they're very real.
creatures?
All those things are very real, and they've been given at different times to the earth, and this has been given in a lot of our movies. A lot of our writers have been receiving this information. The Pegasus horse is coming from an alien civilization in another universe. They actually do have flying horses, and those horses do come to earth. They explain them in the book about the flying horses. They come on flying horses. You cannot see the horse, though. It's invisible to us. You can't see the horse, but this is how they get here. There's so many different strange aliens at different levels of growth and progression that it's just hard to manage. You really have to read. You have to read through those books, and then you have to reread, and then you have to reread again to really comprehend it, to get it, how simple it is. But yet, it all has a reason, it all has a purpose. The gnomes, the fairies, the angels, there's all kinds of angel spirits that are little lights that take care of nature. They're actually nature spirits, they call them. And the gnomes and the fairies, they're nothing but more than angels. Angels doing the work, keeping the gardens nice. They've been seen in areas where there's beautiful riverbeds and flowers and so forth, and some of them have been photographed, So they are real, and I've seen many of them by the lights. I see their lights.
Oh, let's talk about that, because one of the other things besides the raps that was very tangible, and what I mean by that is that there's no denying that I could hear it, but also when I started to do this work, I would be in the shower and I'd see across from me a little flickering blue light. And Ron, let's explain to people what that is.
Well, blue is healing, and that's a healer that's with you. It very likely was that light was your healing teacher that is working through you, because you've developed your healing, you see, when you're seeing that blue light.
And can one see their own soul?
They can too. That's also in the blue. Okay, but that has to be a practice. You have to really concentrate and stare into the mirror and talk to yourself for about a month before you may see the first time, and you've had that experience. I've done that, and I've seen it just to prove that it can be done. But the little yellow spark of light, like a firefly that you see at any time, you see it usually out of the corner of your eye or whatever, you're really seeing it with your third eye, the eye of the mind. And that is a soul. When you've earned light, you can give your light. And I put in the front of each book, may you let your light and love shine for all to see. and I suppose the sign underneath that.